Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So I have this stunning bouquet in my hands from my husband, and we're gonna do a loose watercolor version of it. So let's jump right in. Okay, so to start, I'm gonna go through my materials. I have my Arches cold pressed watercolor paper, my Winsor and Newton professional watercolors on my palette, and my Princeton stamp brushes in a size 12 and a size 6. My water and my paper towel, and we're ready to go. So we are gonna try to replicate my beautiful bouquet with loose watercolor flowers. So we have a little bit of wiggle room to just kind of let loose and have fun. But we're just gonna try and get the same kind of colors and types of flowers down. So the first flower that we will be doing is a peony. And I wonder if I can show you the actual flower here. So this is the peony that I have in my bouquet. This one is just bloomed and it's super gorgeous. And I don't know if you can see that center, but it is absolutely beautiful. So that's this one. We're gonna try and replicate this coral color. And then we also have anemones in the bouquet. This one looks like it's a double anemone. I don't know what's up with that one, but it's pretty cool. And then the last one is another type of peony. I don't know what the different types are called, but this one has a different center, so I'm not sure, but look how stunning that is. Very spiky in the middle, and then these beautiful rounded petals on the outer side. And also we're gonna be doing a peony bud. So something a little bit more like this. Okay, so those are the 4 kinds of flowers that we're doing, and we're just gonna make them loose and have fun. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make one of the coral peonies. And to do that, we are going to, I've already made the color here before. So we're gonna take some Opera Rose, which is this bright neon color almost. Okay, we're gonna put it in my palette here, a nice bunch of it. And then I'm gonna take a bit of cadmium yellow to get this nice like peachy pink color. Then I'm gonna water it down. So I'm just gonna take a lot of it off my brush and we're gonna start. So I'm gonna do one that's a bit more closed and then we'll do one that's a bit more open after. So let's start with the one that's closed. Not completely closed, just starting to bloom. We're gonna do a petal shape like this. And usually with the first flower, I always try and start right up in the corner, not corner, but like not right smack dab in the center. Okay, so peony or a petal shape like that. And I'm just gonna do some curves around like so. And I'm just doing a light wash to start. And then I'm gonna do some little lines here in the center. And then I'm just gonna go around those lines with some curved shapes. Okay. Start like that. And now we're gonna take more of that color. I'm gonna take a bit more yellow. And we're gonna drop some of that darker color towards the bottom. I'm just bringing little lines down towards the bottom, around like this, like so. Might actually grab a bit of permanent rose too, and a bit of yellow to get a bit of a darker pink going in there. Like that, and that's our first flower. Actually, I might add a bit of, it's a bit too much, a bit of cadmium yellow to the center, which is kind of turned into an orange, but that's okay. Like that. Okay, then I'm gonna create an anemone. I love saying that word. So I'm just gonna take like the lightest wash of like a peachy pink, because they're white, but these ones actually had a bit of a tint of pink to them. So while this one's still wet, I want it to bleed a little. I'm gonna do an anemone here. So I'm just taking that really, really light wash and I'm making a petal shape. Let it blend and bleed into that peony. Do another one over here. And you're just going around making it thicker towards the outer bits and thinner towards the center. And though you can't really see it too much right now, Once we add like the center and some greenery around it, it will be a bit more noticeable. Okay, like that. And then I might actually do another one. Actually, let's take a little bit of pink. Just tap it in there just a little bit. Like that. And then I'm gonna do another one over here, more of a side view. So I'm just gonna do like a scoop for one of the petals and then do some longer petals on this side. Again, it can touch that peony while it's still wet. I'm sorry if this is hard to see because it's so light. Like that. Let's take a bit of this purpley bluish gray, and I might just tap it towards the center a bit just to add a bit of color in there. Like that, just to separate some of those petals. Okay, and then I will do the centers once it's dry, but while they're still wet, I actually really want to work on the flowers next to them. So I'm just going to wet up the petals still around those because I want the petals from our next flower to bleed into them, and we're going to be creating the darker red peony. So I'm going to be taking alizarin red, alizarin crimson I think it is, which is already kind of that color, and then a little bit of dioxazine purple, like that. And we're gonna create those other peonies. So we're gonna start off with like a more rounded petal, and then a rounded petal on the side, and let it bleed into that anemone. Okay, I'm gonna have another rounded petal coming down here. And then we're gonna do some spiky centers. So just using the tip of our brush, and loosely, hold on, going in, and I'm just going to curve around it a bit. Like that. Okay. Then I'm going to go back in with more color, a bit more darker purple, darken up that center, and darken up the base. Like so. Okay. And see how that is bleeding into the anemone. I really like that look. So it's totally up to you. If you don't want it to bleed, just wait till that anemone dries. Again, I'm going to wet up, oopsie, need to wash off my brush a bit better. Wet up this side because I'm going to want to do some greenery here. I'm going to try and also keep this wet. Here's my clean water. That's a better idea. Try and keep my anemone wet to have them bleed. Okay. I'm going to take some green, some sap green, and I think I have like a perline green, and I'm just going to do some leaves while it's still wet to get that little bit of a bleed. Okay. And then while this is still wet, we're going to do another one of these coral peonies. Okay, and this is going to be a side open view. I'll try and show you what it looks like on the actual flower after, but I want to do this while it's wet. So we're going to do some big petal shapes kind of going back here. Leave little bits of white space. Okay. And then the center, actually there's not enough white space right there. Just mop it up if you need to. Like that. And then we're going to go into the center, and we're going to do the center of that flower, the peony. So you're just going to do some really light pressure strokes coming out, and then you're just going to dab around like that. And it creates the really cool stamen in these peonies. Now I feel like this flower is a bit too light, so I'm going to go and add a bit more coral. I'm going to grab some permanent rose though this time. Like that. And I'm just going to tap like that and let it bleed. Okay? And then we're gonna do another one of these red ones. And while this is still wet, I might go back in with a bit more darker pigment. Like that. Okay, and we're gonna go over up here. Is that still wet? I don't think that's still wet. That's okay. And we're just gonna create another one. So I'm gonna do those rounded leaves to start. Okay, and then do those little spiky centers. Oh good, it is still wet a little bit. And then just little curves around. Like that. I'm gonna grab a bit more dioxazine purple. Oops, it's a lot, that's okay. Kind of darken up that center and darken up the base here. Like that. And then I'm gonna do one more of just a bud up here of this color. So let's grab a bit more alizarin red. And I'm just gonna do almost like a dome shape. Scoop that way, scoop that way. We're gonna leave some white space at the bottom so we can have it kind of encased in the greenery. And just do some little lines like this. Okay, like that. And then I'm gonna wash off my brush, go into my green. I'm gonna go into my sap green, and I'm just gonna go around this bud right here. Let it bleed a little bit. Have some leaves coming out like that. And I'm gonna go in with some of my darker green, this pearline green, and just tap a bit like that. Okay, and then we can start adding a bit more greenery to some of the ones that are wet too. So I'm just gonna add some greenery where I think it needs it. Okay, so something that happened here that I'm not too fond of is this. I put more wet paint on an area that was already drying. So while it's still wet, I'm gonna see if I can just blend it out a bit so I don't get those harsh lines. It happens, and that's okay when that happens. But that's why it happens, is because you've already put it on an area that's started to dry. So I'm just gonna see if I can wet up that whole area again. I'm gonna have to wet up this anemone with clean water. So there's a soft, even blend, not too wet. But this is why that happens. I probably shouldn't have gone back in with the darker pigment while it was drying. And now I'm just gonna go over it with that darker red and purple. Like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna wash off my brush completely and see if I can still blend out some of that water. And hopefully we won't get any harsh lines. And see, I make these little mistakes too, all the time. It's all good. You can try and fix them, and if it's really unfixable, you just start again. Okay, let's do some more greenery. Okay, so let's have some greenery. We can have some of those anemone leaves coming out here, and they're a bit more spiky, so just do little spiky leaves coming from the anemone. Like that. Might actually grab that dark green again. Just tap a little bit. Okay, this is bleeding a bit too much too. It's all good though. I kind of like the way that looks. Let's do some more leaves coming down here. See, the tricky part I find about loose floral paintings is that you kind of got to be quick if you want all those bleeds to happen, or else they're going to dry and you'll get a lot of weird blooms and not the effect you want. So it's definitely something to practice. I still mess up often, but just keep practicing. Okay, so I feel like we need some more greenery up here, so I'm gonna add some more. I'm just using my brush, and these leaves don't have to be perfect, okay? Let's have some more up here. I'm just lightening my leaves. Adding some contrast. Maybe we can do some little smaller leaves. So contrast in size and in values. So light and dark, big and small. All that stuff really helps. Just make your piece pop. Like that. And because we have some of those smaller leaves up there, I might do some down here. That. I think I'm going to drop some darker bits in here. Like that. And there we go. Now a lot of that color has bled into this one, and it honestly doesn't bug me, but if you don't like that look, and it kind of takes away from the actual anemone, you know, just wait till that anemone dries, and then you could always do that one. I kind of like the way it looks, but we're gonna wait for that to dry and then do the centers, and then we'll be done. Okay, so now that it's all dry, we can do those last centers. And I'm just gonna grab some Payne's Gray. My Payne's Gray is a bit more on the blue side, so if you wanna use an indigo, just a nice dark blue, you can do that. And I'm just going to start off by making a circle. And then I'm gonna go around the circle with really, really light pressure on the tip of my brush. I'm just using my size 6. But if your brush has a really good point to it, you can really use any size and just really light pressure, and just then do some dots around the end of those stems. Like that. And then this one is a bit more of on an angle, so we're just going to do more of like a semicircle like this. Okay, and then we'll do just short little dots over here, and then make little lines coming out this way. And just because of the perspective of that flower, the lines on the side will be longer. Like that. Okay. And that's about it. If you would like to sharpen up any edges, you definitely could. I might just take a bit of color and just, what color? This color, I guess. Just kind of separate some of those petals a bit. Very, very loosely, blend it out just to, I don't know. Totally up to you though. I kind of like the way it looks. But yeah, and that's it. That's how you do a very loose bouquet. So you got to work quickly and just kind of let the watercolor do its thing, okay? This is definitely not a style for everybody to enjoy, but I really like it. And if you really like it, I hope you guys enjoy it too. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram and Facebook for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.